So as lots of you will be aware already, we've run an online Q&A session with the children, which has been streamed into their primary schools. That was a couple of weeks ago, and we've got another one coming up tomorrow afternoon, which we're going to be presenting at 1:30. There we go. So this presentation now just deals with some of the operational aspects of the transition process, and there's a few questions that we've had come into us on the email a few times about some of the details, which I'll go over as well. So first of all, what's coming up? Well, tomorrow, as I've said, we've got the online transition event at 1:30 p.m. Primary schools are all aware of that. That will be on Google Meet again, as it was last time. And just like last time, we'll do a 10-minute piece with some information, and then we'll open the floor to the questions from the children. And it was fantastic actually last time. It was really lovely, and it was a nice opportunity to interact with them. We had, as you can all imagine, I'm sure, some fantastic questions, ranging from some weird and wonderful to some really insightful queries from the children. So we'll be doing that again, and we're looking forward to seeing them all again. We are then hoping that our transition week in August will still go ahead. So at the moment, we've got 4 days in August from the 9th to the 12th, where all of the children are invited on site. And we've got 4 full days of activities, all based in the curriculum, but all very much in a workshop environment. Each morning will be a different subject workshop in classrooms, and then each afternoon there are a series of sports events out on the field. It's worth noting there that that lunch is laid on for all of the students, so that's all paid up. There's no need to worry about dinner money or anything like that in that week. And the week is open to everybody for all 4 days, but I know a few people have already got commitments on particular days. That's absolutely fine. If you want to sign up just for a single day or a set of days in there, then that's no problem at all. If you haven't signed up for that already, and I'm pleased to report that 120 people so far have signed up for that. We have got capacity for every single child to join, but we do need to know by the end of next week so that we can arrange staffing appropriately. So if you haven't signed up yet, but that is something you want to do, then the link is on our transition website, on the school website. And then on the 2nd of September, school will start, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Something else that's coming up is the transition goodie bag. Now, of course, ordinarily, in ordinary times, all the children would be joining us on site tomorrow, and obviously that's been curtailed by the pandemic. So in its place, our wonderful marketing team have put together this transition goodie bag. Now, these are going to be delivered directly to primary schools for each named South Wirral High School student some point in the next 10 school days. It'll include their summer reading book, which is a novel that we've bought for all the children, and then a couple of other tasks, and a pair of 3D glasses, some microwavable popcorn, and a link to the 3D transition video, which we've made specially for them. Now, it's only about 3 or 4 minutes long, and there is a 2D version if anybody doesn't fancy the full 3D experience, or it wouldn't be appropriate if they've got some photosensitivity issues. But if not, then it's something for the whole family to enjoy in the most 80s way possible. I've seen the preview and it is fantastic. So those goodie bags will be going out to students via primary schools, like I say, over the next 10 days. We've got to deliver them in cars, a school at a time. So that will be happening over the next fortnight. And then I've been asked lots and lots, especially by students on via email or in the Q&A sessions, about what exactly is going to happen in September. So there are 225 students in the year group, so it's a big year group. And so far, about 50% of you have formally accepted your place. Now, everyone's place is there, but we do ask that you go onto the local authority portal, the same portal that you use to apply for your place, to formally accept it. It just it's another bit of administrative red tape that is out of the way then. So if you don't think you've done that yet, that would be really helpful. Lots of people have asked me questions about tutor groups and houses. So we've got 4 houses here, split into 8 tutor groups, Laird, Stanley, Mayor and Wilson. the house allocation has been delayed slightly by the pandemic. Some of the data sharing we'd ordinarily do hasn't been as quick as we would have liked it to have been, but we are ready to share the house allocations now with you all, and we'll do that via email, and that email should be going out at some point on Monday. If by the middle of next week, I've written Friday here, but even if by Wednesday of next week you haven't heard, it might mean that your email address isn't correct in the system. If you've already received emails from us, then that shouldn't be the case. But if you've got any questions or queries once that allocation's been made, just drop us a line, and we'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. And then the first day of school is Thursday, the 2nd of September. It's specially for Year 7, so there won't be any other students on site on that first day, and there'll be a 9 AM start. Now, we will send out more information on that in the next couple of weeks, so that you've got absolutely everything you need to know about that start in September. The next thing to talk to you about is what's happening on Google Classroom. So every single student has been issued already their Google Classroom logon details. Now, these are the same logon details the children will use in September once they get here to use the computers on site. I think we've had something like 75 or 80% of students have logged in now to the Google Classroom. It's been fantastic. There is a lot of videos on there, transition videos, information and activities. And then there's been a fantastic series of lessons from the English department on the novel Treasure Island. The maths department have already started some small competitions between students on the Timetables Rockstars website, and it's staggering actually to see just how quick some of the children are when they're using that website. It's fantastic. The feedback we've had from the languages, from the French activities there, has been brilliant, and I know that Mr. Hughes in particular has been speaking and conversing with lots of the children on the Google Classroom there in French, and it's lovely to see, because obviously languages is one of those subjects that really comes alive in a secondary school. So that's all there for you to look at. And then Mr. Harrison's LORIC activities, and LORIC are our school values. They've been very well engaged with on the Google Classroom as well. I would encourage all of the parents and carers here this evening to ask their children about what's happening on Google Classroom, and to go and have a look at some of the work that's being completed, because it is fantastic, and it's certainly one of the things that we'll be keeping once the pandemic is consigned to the history books, because it's been a wonderful opportunity for the children to engage with school before they've arrived. I've been asked lots of questions about ties, badges, equipment and lockers. All of these things are going to be available for purchase at the end of each of the August transition days. And if I know there are a few people that won't be able to attend those days at all, reception is stocks all of these items. If you need to buy something before the end of term, or at a different point in the summer, if you email the school office, we'll work out a time when you'll be able to come in and get those things. But please don't just arrive at school during term time, because we might not have the right items in reception for you. But ties, £5.50, blazer badges, £3.50. Now you can get the school blazers from the Wirral uniform shop, which is in Birkenhead, with the badge already embroidered on, or you can get a plain black blazer, and then you can stitch or glue the badge onto the pocket on the left hand side yourself. We have plenty of students do both, so one of those options doesn't stand out in school. We've also got subsidised scientific calculators. Now I know that they're about double that price in the shop. They're usually about £15, so it's a good deal if you haven't already, if your child hasn't already got a scientific calculator. I'm also asked about lockers this time of year. So we've got enough lockers in school for every student to have one. Lockers are £20 for 5 years, and that includes a £5 deposit, which is returned at the end of year 11. So unfortunately, we can only accept cash for all of these items at reception. We've got no facility to take a card payment. But all of these things are available at the end of the August transition days. Where we do go without cash is in the canteen. So we've got cashless catering here. There's an online system, so you can add funds to your child's cashless catering account across the internet. If your child's in receipt of free school meals, then that gets credited to their account daily automatically, so there's nothing to do there. Of course, you can top it up if you want to. You can add funds to that. All the information about that has been in the electronic welcome packs that you've all received, and I can already see by the data returns that we've had that lots of people have already signed up to those systems. Uniform information was all in the information packs as well, and this is also a slide I've just taken off of the website. It's a very, very straightforward uniform here. The only specific branded items are the tie, which we sell here, £5.50, and the badge that I've already mentioned. That means that you can get everything else from any high street shop or a supermarket, and we just ask that you try and make sure that you're adhering to the stipulations we've got there. We want things to be as plain as they can possibly be, which of course helps because that also means that they're usually generally inexpensive. And we ask that students don't wear excessive jewellery or makeup, and we're not wearing shoes which could be considered dangerous. And generally, what we're trying to do is create a level playing field for all of the students. So I get asked sometimes about how we justify uniforms in school, and we go to great lengths to make sure that students aren't wearing trainers and things like that. And it's about creating an equal playing field so that students don't have to worry about what it is they're wearing when they're going into school. If everyone is going to wear the same uniform, if no one is allowed to wear a £100 pair of trainers, and everyone's got to wear their £15 Peacock school shoes, then it's things that students don't need to worry about. And equally, we're in a mobile phone free school, and that's the same thing. If you don't have mobile phones in schools, not only do we bypass a lot of the difficulties that social media and the internet present to young people nowadays, but also there's no competition between students, and that pressure, parental pressure to buy students the latest devices, hundreds of pounds devices that can be taken into school. That's removed. So we are a phone-free school. I'm well aware that lots and lots of students do bring an inexpensive mobile phone and leave it switched off in their bag, and that's to make everyone feel a bit more comfortable when students are transiting to and from school, and that's completely understandable and quite acceptable. But we simply ask every student that any electronic devices are switched off and away before they walk in the gates, and they wait until they leave the school if they're going to get them out again. Last couple of things from me then. So Mr. Harrison is on this call as well. Mr. Harrison is our Associate Assistant Head Teacher who leads us in all aspects of our extracurricular offer, as well as our Lorick School Principals. And so if there are any questions about that, he'll be here to support us with that as well. And now we will hand over to any questions. So I know that Mr. Goodwin has got a series of questions that have already been sent in. So I'll just quickly switch off my presentation so we can see him again.
Mr. Chitty, the first question actually relates to the specific circumstances of this week. So unfortunately, we've got some children isolating this week. And in fact, all of Mendel Year 6 are out isolating. So if children are isolating, they can still see the event from home tomorrow, can't they?
Yeah. So a couple of the students asked. It shows the benefit of the Google Classroom. So a few students asked about that. The link is going to be posted on the Google Classroom website. So the slide that I've just shown you. So the students that are isolating at home can log in from home and see it there. If that is your child, if you could just remind them that they should really have their camera and their mic switched off while we're sort of presenting, because it's going to be beamed into 25 different primary schools. So that'll be a good event.
Okay, thank you, sir. I've just got a few questions that were submitted in advance. I think the first one is one that a lot of parents might identify with. The question is, my child is quite quiet and happily gets on with their work in lessons. Will she get forgotten by teachers in a big secondary school? And of course, I remember at the time when my child made the transition from primary, from a small school to a big school, that was something that they were concerned about. What I'd want to say to you all is, this is a school where every child is known. So yes, it feels like a bigger school, but actually there'll be 1,000 students here, but every child was known. They're all part of a house. The houses are no bigger than about 200 students, and they'll all have a form tutor. And that is a form tutor who is likely to be their form tutor through their whole education here, and they will form a very, very close relationship with. And the other thing to note here is that we pride ourselves on having quite a small average class size in school. Our average class size across our school is 23, which means that children are known by their teachers and get individual attention as well. In fact, as the school is growing this year, because we are very much oversubscribed in year 7, I've brought in 3 extra teachers, and you know, that ensures that the class size stays small. It's also interesting to note that as children start with us, we really want to focus on building their confidence and making sure that they're happy and confident in school. So the extracurricular provision, the sports, the arts, and all the academic clubs and societies that we have are really, really important. When I meet your child for the first time in an assembly, I'll give them a challenge that every single person should join, either a team or a club or a society, something to do outside of their lessons in something that they love, because we know how important that is for building confidence. My next question actually relates to some individual special educational needs. A question: my daughter has ADHD. Are there things in place to help her in school? Well, we have a very big team of teaching assistants at school. In fact, our team of teaching assistants is growing this year, and there's lots of specialist support for students, including for students with ADHD. We work hard to support them in lessons and also to build their confidence and their participation in extracurricular activities. There are interventions, there are homework clubs, and lots of other specific extracurricular activities for them. Also useful to note that this week the school actually has a training day, and the whole staff are receiving extra training on supporting children with ADHD, with autism, and also with dyslexia. That's something that we take really, really seriously. A third question also relates to special needs. My daughter has Irlen syndrome and struggles with English and the speed of reading. How would South Wirral be able to support her? Well, students with a medical diagnosis of Irlen's have an individual care plan written. They are supported in class and also in the interventions and in the learning hub we have in school. And there are intervention programs for students who are not working at what we call age-related expectations in maths and in English as well. So there's a few introductory questions. I'm reading down some of the questions in the chat. If you do want to ask a question now, please do write it in the chat, and between us we'll try and answer those. So I'm just scrolling through there. So I have a question regarding confirmation. So my son's school doesn't seem to be getting the communication from you regarding transition. Can we please double check all of the children are included? It would be really helpful if you could let us know, as you have done. I can just see there which school that is, and we'll make sure we sort that one out. Okay. Okay, another question. My daughter hasn't had any contact herself from South Wirral Primary School. A teacher has, but she hasn't seen or had any contact herself. So perhaps, Mr. Chitty, could you just talk a little bit about our transition work and where we're up to with that?
Yeah, so all of the primary schools that we've got listed on our on the students' destination have all been contacted. So I've just popped a couple of notes there. So I've taken the name of one primary school. If you think that it might just be, so in that example, who was it, Louisa? If you think that actually the primary school's heard, but you haven't got the details, then there are some entries from the portal that didn't have parental contact information, and we tried to seek that from the primary schools, but there's a couple of gaps still. If you think that your child has been missed off of one of those contacts, and if you email us at hello@southwirral wirral.sch.uk, which goes to the office, then we'll make sure that all of the backlog of information goes to you as well, and we'll catch everything up. So just drop us a line with those details.
Thank you, Mr. Shetty. I'm noting Kylie's comment about the cashless canteen, and so Kylie, if you wouldn't mind sending an email through to hello@southwirral.wirral.sch.uk, we'll sort it out for you, and we'll be able to sort that out quickly for you. Jill asks, do you have facilities for those who want to bring a packed lunch? We absolutely do. Now, this is a really good example of what we call a COVID keeper. So we've had to run school differently this year because of COVID. And one of the things we've done is we wanted to make sure that every child is able to get a hot meal if they want to, but also have a nice quiet place to eat that's not overcrowded. So at lunchtime, we run 2 queues for 2 canteen food counters so that anybody who wants to get a hot meal can get one. And we also have a specialist room for students who just want to sit and eat a packed lunch. All the spaces are supervised with staff as well. So the children will always have a member of staff on hand if they need any support at lunchtime. Question from Phil. My son attends Woodchurch Road Primary School. He said he didn't have a live question and answer a few weeks ago. Is there a way this can be uploaded? His school is doing the Zoom call tomorrow.
Yeah, so I've just made a note. We did record the previous Q&A as well. So actually what I'll do is I'll upload that onto the Google Classroom so that he can see it directly. I know that not all primary schools logged in successfully in the end, and we did send the link round to them all. But actually, it's probably best if it's in the hands of the students. So I'll put that onto the Google Classroom as soon as I can, probably early next week.
Thank you, sir. Sorry to note Mike's point that you feel Grove Street Primary School has been poor with information about transition. We'll just double check that they've got everything that they needed. But again, Mike, if you'd like to pop an email through to that email address we gave a moment ago, hello@southwirral, we'll see if we'll make sure that you've not missed anything that you need. Okay. Now the next 2 questions are about. Yes, sir. Go on.
Just to add to that, Mike, if your child's got their access to their Google Classroom, everything that we've sent to the primary schools is copied there as well. So if there's a particular question that you feel you've got or your child's got, then they can ask it in there, or they can use the email address. The transition website, which is linked from our main school website as well, has got something like a dozen videos now. It's got the live school tour, walkthroughs of the pastoral system, the student welfare officers, a whole host of things. So if you do ever think actually that you'd like more information, then there's all those places are really good places to start.
Thank you, sir. 2 very good questions about bullying now, and I'll start to answer these, and then I will hand over to Mr. Chitty to talk with a little bit more detail on this. I think it's really good to talk about bullying. It is something that would be on the children's minds, and obviously as parents, it's something that we worry about, isn't it? So, you know, bullying is a sad fact of life, and we acknowledge it happens in school. However, this is a school that does not accept bullying. And the first thing I'd want to say is that it's really important that in a school you have a positive culture where children respect each other, and we have a culture of friendliness and care. And that is the culture we promote in our school. We also acknowledge that when bullying happens, it's a significant moment for both the bully and the victim. And we seek to educate both to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So it's really important that we have a very clear set of expectations in school, but also that we act carefully to make sure that the underlying issues that have caused the bullying are addressed. So it is an issue we take very, very seriously in school. And I'll hand you over to Mr. Chitty just to talk a little bit more about the details about how that works.
Thank you, sir. So one of the things that we pride ourselves on here is the depth of the pastoral team. So we've already mentioned that there are 4 houses. Each of the houses have got a head of house, a house progress leader, and an assistant house progress leader. So there are 2 pastoral leaders in each of those houses, and then that's on top of the tutoring structure that we've got. It means that there's a great deal of flexibility in the deployment of that support in school. And the assistant house progress leaders, who are all based in a section of the school called Student Services, are actually all non-teaching members of staff. It means that they've got the greatest flexibility of all, because they are always on hand. They are working all day, every day, directly with children to support them making the very best possible use of their time here at school. And so when difficulties arise, which they always do in a secondary school, there are people there that can begin to unpick those difficulties very, very quickly. And we do a lot of work with students on both sides, because very often when students exhibit bullying behaviours, they're very often ignorant to the impact that they're having on the victim, and they're often ignorant to the reasons why they're behaving in those particular ways. So we do a great deal of work with students to develop their character in school and to help them improve their conduct. And that's really powerful. And it does mean that I'm very pleased to report that we have very few incidents of repeat bullying in school. So like all secondary schools, students are unkind, unfortunately, occasionally. But we work with all the students involved to make those improvements. But what I will say is that we always sanction unkind behaviour. So there is always a punishment, but then we do a great deal of work with students after that to help them improve. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. The only other thing I'd add to that is that I'm really proud to say that I'm a head teacher of a school of kind and thoughtful children. And the atmosphere in this school is lovely when you walk around. And you know, one of the opportunities we do offer to parents is if you ever want to pop into school and get a sense of what it's really like on an average day, you're welcome to come in if you'd like that reassurance. A question from Natalie regarding scope here. Will my child automatically be added to the same account as my daughter who already attends? That's outside of my knowledge, that one, sir.
Yes, the answer to that is yes. So you've got one single log on, and all of the children in that household all fall into the same account, and then you can apply different funds to different cash as you want to.
Thank you, sir. And from Debbie, when the children start, are they in forms with children from their primary school at all, or are they mixed? Would you like to take that one as well, sir?
Yeah, we'll do. So what we've done is we've, in our transition dialogues with the primary schools each year make a series of requests for certain students about where they're placed in the house structure in school. So we do our very best to accommodate all of those requests. And hopefully the primary schools and parents and carers will see when we release the houses next week that the requests that we have had have been I think in the most part we've been able to accommodate those. What I will say then though is always the caveat that I give is that once students are assigned their curricular timetable, they are then spread out across the school. So although they may be in the same house and the same tutor group as one or two peers that they already know, when it comes to the distribution amongst the school, and that's usually a lot wider. But the reassurance that I would give is that you know, students settle incredibly quickly into our secondary school because it is such a warm and welcoming place, and very, very quickly they're making social connections across primary school peer groups that they wouldn't necessarily have expected to have done before, and they settle very quickly, and then you know, they're off and they're away. So yes, in short, we've taken all of that information from the primary schools that we've been given, and I think we have managed to fulfill almost all of those requests.
Thank you, sir. Next question is about Google Classroom. How do the children get their Google Classroom login?
I'll take that one as well. So every single student, when their Google Classroom logon was generated, the details were emailed to the primary email address that we've got for that student, that we took from the local authority portal. So when you made your application for a place, the logon details will have gone to your email address, whatever the primary address was you gave us. Check your spam if you don't think that you have got that, because of course it might have been the very first email you've ever received from us. If then no, you can't find it, then don't worry about it. Don't start, you know, trying to dig through months of old emails. If you just drop us a line, hello@southwirral.wirral.sch.uk with your child's name and we'll whiz it out to you. It'll probably take us 24 hours to turn around, so we'll be able to do that quite quickly.
Thank you, sir. Chrissy asks, will we receive info on how to set up the cashless dining cards before this starts?
Yes, that should have been in your electronic welcome packs. It's just a log on, and the system is quite straightforward, but it won't be live yet. So again, any problems, drop us a line and we'll be able to sort that out quite quickly.
Thank you, sir. And Chrissy, the students have at least one PE lesson every week. As they get older, they might have more. They can also choose to do a GCSE in PE as well as their games lesson. And that's in addition to the lunchtime and after school activity. So we've got something on almost every day of a sporting nature at lunchtime or after school. So there's lots and lots of sport for the sporting inclined student. Please, sir, would you like to add to that?
So there's a question here, will I get confirmation that I've got a place on summer transition week? So yes, hopefully what I've asked is that everybody can let us know by this time next week at the very latest, and then we will send an email out. But what I can say is if you've responded, you've got it. We've got enough places for everyone. So make sure it's in the diary, and we'll be good to go. But we will send out a confirmatory email with the details again once we've closed the applications.
Thank you, sir. And in answer to Gareth's question, yes, your son will be put in the same house as his elder brother. So it'll be the same head of house that you've communicated with in the past. Kim asks, my partner gets the emails for our daughter because I had to use his email address to log in to the Wirral portal. Yeah, we have a son at South Wirral and I get the emails for him. Will my partner continue to get them? Right, we can fix that and we can set that up to be any way you want. Again, could I ask that you pop an email through to the hello@South Wirral email address, and we'll fix that to make sure that you only get the emails that you want. Okay. And then Louisa, I'm not sure I understand that question. Do you understand that one, sir?
I think it might say something along the lines of, I don't think I received the electronic pack. Yes, there we go.
Right.
Oh, we had one through the post. Right, that's fine. There's a lot of information that's gone out via email as well, and then some of the data forms have gone out in paper versions as people have requested them. So if you think, Louisa, if you think you're missing something, then drop us a line. If we've mentioned something you think, well, I haven't seen that, drop us a line and we'll make sure that we get it to you in the format that's best for you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, a great question from Michelle here. I think a lot of parents will have this on their mind. Will the children be expected to arrive to school in their PE kit, or do you have changing facilities? Well, what we've done during the COVID year is we've actually created an extra set of changing facilities so that all the children can get changed before and after PE, and then they can be cleaned in between each use. So the children do not have to arrive at the school in their PE kit. They should just wear their normal uniform, and there's good clean facilities for them to use. And I think we've exhausted the current range of questions. Would anybody else like to ask any other questions while we're here? If any other questions do occur to you, please do send them through. We've given that email address of hello@southwirral.wirral.sch.uk. If you're active on Facebook, please follow the school on Facebook, and you're always welcome to send direct messages or comments through there. We respond very quickly to that. We also do monitor Instagram and Twitter, and you'll find that gets you a very fast response. One of the principles that we try to work to in school is that we get back to you within 24 hours to any comment that comes through, either telephone message or email or through the internet, because we really do recognise how important communication is to us all. And Gareth, is the summer school later in the school holiday year this year due to COVID? Well, do you want to take that one, Mr. Chitty?
Yes, is the short answer. So at the moment, if it had been that first week of July, it wouldn't have been running. So we put it back so it coincides with the results weeks, in the hope that actually it will go ahead. And so it will very much be a case of watch this space, and we'll make sure we keep people absolutely informed and up to date. And yeah, we're just crossing our fingers and hoping that we can run that, because it will be a great week. It'll be lots of fun if we, provided it goes ahead.
And in answer to the next question, if there's anyone who's unable to attend that transition week for any reason, we will absolutely make sure that they feel welcome on the first day. We'll be looking out for them in particular. And every child gets a warm welcome from a smiling face when they turn up to South Wirral High School every single day, but most especially on their very first day.
And, just to reiterate, that first day in September for the Year 7s, they're going to be the only year group in school. So it's a very welcoming environment, and we go to great lengths to make sure that every single member of the pastoral team is there to support every one of those children coming in and having a really positive day. It's absolutely vital that first day in September is a very positive experience for every single child, and that's why they've got the whole place to themselves for the day.
Thank you, Mr. Chitty. And I'd just like to thank you all for joining us for this. We have recorded this session, so if you know of anyone who was unable to join us this afternoon, we can make that available to them. And lastly, we look forward to seeing your children at the next opportunity and to meeting yourselves face to face. Thanks very much, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye now.